Good evening. Afternoon.
Afternoon. Who's this?
Albert.
Hey, Albert. How are you doing?
Good, good. Saturdays is almost a busy day, so in terms of work-wise, so I was in and out of the session.
Yeah.
So what I've been able to gather so far is really, I like the fact that you keep repeating the pace and share, because that is something that I used to be guilty of.
Yeah.
And not recognizing the fact that it's a different audience and it may require a different level of what you would share now in terms of information and how you go about doing it. So
Yeah.
that stood out to me first of all, and I really appreciate it.
Nice. Anything else?
Oh, I forgot. I'm in the fashion industry as well. I am a uniform provider. I am J&A Fashion.
Okay. That's a pretty good reflection. And it matters that, you know, even tidbits of information that you're able to take and say, all right, well, I can apply this thinking to improve the way I communicate my brand online. Because that's really what we're trying to achieve here. Can I get one more?
Thank you.
Great.
Hi, Chris. I really appreciated that last video that you showed us, because you start to consider the person who's consuming your content first, and trying to really find out what their needs are, how do they want to connect or interact with other people, and that kind of thing. And it really helps. Well, it's going to help me now to decide what type of content I'm going to produce, and not just that, but like how I'm going to build it, you know. So I really appreciated that last video that you showed us.
I think, Wanya, your style of, for example, if executed creatively and well, you can, if you haven't already done it, you can expand that into a user generated content thing where you have your consumers participating in style of contests as well. So it's
That's exactly what I was thinking about.
Yeah. So that, okay, I've seen something from Elizabeth. Elizabeth is saying, well, I'm just absorbing everything. Very interesting session, and that will help me with some of the issues I'm having, utilizing and really benefiting from what's available on social media platforms. I have a website, but I tend to use and get more interaction on Instagram. Okay, nice. So does that mean that the 40 other people in this program aren't getting any value from it? Or just passively listening?
Princess Semper of Realistic Designs. And right, so during the entire webinar or workshop, you know, you were asking questions in between, which really had me thinking. And because now I'm changing my brand story, I'm now developing my brand and everything, it has been really helpful. So, you know, you would ask questions like, what is your belief system? What is your brand values? You know, what is your brand identity? And you know, where, you know, before, you know, you have in your mind what you're about, but you don't have it written down, and that you could pull from it, you know, or you can draw from it to create your content and do all of that. So now that, you know, as I can ask myself these questions and really formulate and have something written and develop a plan, now I think I'm understanding a little of the science behind it now, the entire, you know. So before you would just be doing things willy-nilly, posting, and you'll just try to post and whatever. but now you're understanding the science. You know, have a better understanding of it now. So I'll be
Yeah,
doing
there,
meaning
there's
rather
a
than,
oh,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
So I'll be, what I'll be doing now will have more meaning rather than, okay, let me just post a picture, keep my page active, you know, or you just want to create, you want to increase your likes or whatever, you want to, now you have meaning to what you're doing and you know what you're about. So that is what,
Yeah.
you know, I get today from this.
There's a very big difference between the brand that articulates its plan and the brand that doesn't. You could definitely see the difference, and you see the difference in the performance over time. Those the brands that sit and articulate their content calendars and just that their belief system and their value system and their identity. And which is why I want to do a full session with you guys on branding and brand identity, because that would have a lot of value. To creating content. I messaged Lisa privately and I told her that I think we should really do something. So we'll see how that comes out. So I'm glad I'm getting the feedback that I was hoping to get, that this was in fact something that is practical and useful for you guys. So let's continue.
Yes, Chris.
Yeah.
Yes, Chris. One of the things besides the class, I now remember where I know your face from is some hosting Digicel Rising Star at a point in time. Yes, am I correct?
Yeah, I've been around.
Yes, I
That
remember that. And
I'm a doppelganger.
yes, and what is it?
Either me or my doppelganger.
Hello?
I said that's either me
No,
or my doppelganger.
oh, yes, that one, that way same.
No, I just feel it here, man.
Right, yes, I remember your face from that. And
Yeah.
also, yes, really enjoying the class, the lessons to be learned, exactly what Princess was talking about just now. That is what I totally agree with what she says, and Noana as well. And
Yeah.
watching Noana stuff on Facebook, I totally agree and totally understand why it is you use her brand, because as you hear what it is she's stand for, you want to buy the brand immediately without even seeing it, because you just want to be a part of supporting a cause like that. So I totally understand why it is you're saying bring a brand story and everything. So yeah, I sitting back and I listening and writing and taking my notes, and yeah, I believe in about 5 years time my brand's supposed to be like $1 million brand or for the session alone. All right, so thanks very much, Francis. Okay.
That I want to just plug that when I was on Digital Rising Star, I used to wear Dawa. So it
Yeah,
some
yes,
study
I
it,
remember that. So we're the Blazers, yes.
yeah.
Yes.
I this fashion industry a little while now. All right, so let's dive into the rest of this afternoon's content. I put this here now. This really is to stimulate discussion. Scheduling and publishing too. So after we talked a lot about planning our content, and then we talked a lot about creating video content. And now I just want to touch on scheduling that content. So there are tools for scheduling content. Hootsuite is a free tool, Buffer is free, Sprout is free with a paid version. So I would like to encourage you guys, if you haven't already, to just explore, just type in Hootsuite in Google and have a read of what Hootsuite can do for you. Hootsuite is spelled Hootsuite. Buffer is another one, and Sprout Social. These are tools that you can use to help schedule your content, and they publish your content for you. So that after you've created your content plan, it's really just a matter of taking that content plan and spending another hour putting the content into the schedule and allowing it to schedule it throughout the month automatically for you. So you don't have to worry about posting and creating content throughout the month. You really just have to concern yourself with responding to comments and listening to your consumers and dealing with the customer service of social media. Does anybody use any other publishing tools other than Hootsuite, Buffer, or Sprout, or does anybody use any of these publishing tools at all?
I use Crowdfire.
Crowdbuyer. I actually never heard of that one.
Crowdfire. I'll type it in.
Crowdfire. Okay. And that's free, 1 year?
Yes, it's well free to a point.
Premium. Now, I want to suggest, guys, when you're using a tool and you find that this tool is giving you value for a month, for 2 months, for 3 months, pay the subscription. No? It's be like $10 US something for the year. Sometimes it's more, but when you pay the subscription and you get access to a tool that you feel comfortable using, and you know half the battle is finding a tool that you're comfortable with. And if you find a tool that you know how to use and you're comfortable using it, get the most out of that tool. Usually these tools tend to be very, very, very robust and add a lot of value to your pipeline because the tools are created, they understand that the reason we are on social media is to help facilitate sales. So consider using the trial and upgrading and that sort of thing. I myself will check out Crowdfire. I've written it down, and you guys should check it out as well, given Wania's testimonial. But you can also check out Buffer, Hootsuite, and Sprout Social. User-generated content. Now, this is cool, right? So we talked earlier a little bit about promotion, and we all know about boosting posts. We all know. You know, or once you have a business page, Facebook is going to tell you, hey, this post performing better than other posts. You should boost it for $10. Facebook is always going to guide you and show you how to post different things or how to boost different things. But outside of boosting, I just wanted to have a conversation about different ways that you can get users to participate. And let's start with augmented reality. Now, that's a nice big fancy word, and it's really, we use augmented reality every single day. You know, when you go into Instagram and you get those little bunny ears on your face because you put on a filter, that filter is built on a technology called augmented reality. And many companies, many organizations utilize augmented reality. And as a matter of fact, we have people in Trinidad and Tobago who build augmented reality platforms for brands, and it's not nearly as expensive as you think it would be. I'm going to show you an example of one. It's not in use. It was actually just a sort of portfolio piece, but I'm just showing it to you because it was created by someone locally for a brand, just to get people involved. Now, this one in particular is a bit complicated, but I want to tell you about this group of people who create augmented reality because I think that, you know, if you have a small spend, let's say 3,000 or 5,000 TT dollars, I'm sure that this group of people will be able to create some sort of augmented reality function that will allow users to interact with your content in a very cool and new trending way. So that's Rondell Paul. He runs a company called Royalty Club. I'm sure a lot of you might know him. We live on an island. He is probably the leading designer of augmented reality things. And you can reach out to him on LinkedIn and say, hey, I want to do a campaign where I get users to interact with my brand in a way that's fun for them. What you can do for me? And he might work with you to create something. For those of us that are, you know, tech forward and do want to have that sort of integration, you put something like that out there with the right influencers using that type of technology, then it positions your brand in a space that really no one else is. So I just shooting you some cool ideas. I'm gonna type his name. That is Rondell Paul, and his company is Royalty Club. Look for him on LinkedIn or on Twitter. I actually just tweeted at him. So if you were to go on my Twitter, you would see his stuff. And I oftentimes I ask him to come and speak in my classes. today I didn't feel like I needed to, so I just showed a little video with his stuff. But you know, this type of stuff, this is not unattainable stuff. This is stuff that, you know, if you have a small investment to get your users involved, because remember, this is really about creating relationships with the users and allowing users to create relationships with each other. A lot of brands locally in the corporate sector are using augmented reality now because people are gravitating towards it. So why not, as entrepreneurs, why not, if we have the money to do it, why not try it out? In addition to that, use of hashtags. For example, if Wanya had, I using Wanya so much. If hashtags could facilitate the support of something, so we have a hashtag that might be able to quantify a particular user action. So for example, when Anya Ayangchi was in Project Runway, and I think someone had given this example early on, when Anya Ayangchi was in Project Runway used hashtags to be able to quantify the size of Anya's support and the size of anybody else's support. So they said on Project Runway, if you support Anya, hashtag PR9 Anya, or whatever was the PR was Project Runway, 9 was her number, and Anya was her name. So they wanted her community to get behind her by hashtagging. And because people use that hashtag, Project Runway was able to count the number of people who used the hashtag to determine just how popular Anya really was. And she won because of it. Because of that, she won the People's Choice and then went on to winning the overall thing. And it's probably because of hashtags, because any brand that could solicit that degree of support that Anya Ayangchi was able to solicit in Project Runway is probably worth winning. So hashtags, first and foremost, are a tool for quantification of consumer generated content. Also, so in another way, Scotiabank, when they launched their Women Against Breast Cancer a couple years ago, and they do it every year, they would create a special hashtag every year so that people can follow our conversation, because I can click on a hashtag and watch to see who else is using that hashtag and what conversation are they having. In the same way that I went to Twitter and I typed in hashtag fashion, hashtag Trinidad, to see who is talking about fashion and Trinidad and using those hashtags. So as a designer, if my hashtag was hashtag Wanya, I can tell people, use the hashtag Wanya, and every week, someone who uses that hashtag will be selected at random to win a free garment from Wanya. That in itself gives people an incentive to start creating content around your brand. In 2017, Pampers International launched a brand in Trinidad called Poo Face, Pampers Poo Face. And they said, upload pictures of your child while he is making a poo face. And let's see who has the cutest baby. So people uploaded pictures of their baby, and while their baby was pooping, and they used the hashtag Pampers Poo Face, and people were able to follow that. Hundreds of Trinidadian women submitted pictures of their babies for Pampers Poo Face, just because, one, Pampers recognized that people already submit pictures of their baby. People already upload pictures of their baby. But by using the hashtag Pampers Poo Face, incentivized by the ability to win something, the content that they were creating about their babies was now content that was being created about Pampers. And so contests, and Trinis love a free thing. One thing, that's marketing 101. You give Trinis free thing. All I need to do is tell you, go over to Domino's Twitter page right now and see how many free pizzas are being given away and how amazing their content is growing, because Trinis love free thing. So you give away, once a month you give away a hat, give away a handbag, give away a t-shirt, and get users to start creating content about your brand. I love hashtag Wanya because, and they will do it. That's marketing. Hashtags, giveaways and competitions, same principle. You don't necessarily have to do a hashtag, but I want you to check out a platform called Woobox, WOOBOX. Woobox is a platform that allows you to structure competitions and contests online. You can do it for free in some instances, depending on the number of users you may have to pay to get people involved in creating content and submitting content to have the sweepstakes and prizes to really stimulate user activity online. So you don't always need to just spend money to get people to care about your brand, because from the time you start if you have a community of 10 and 5 out of those people started posting content on their platform about your brand, then their friends are going to see it, and that's what we call organic growth. So you don't have to pay for growth. You can just do really cool, creative things. I like to call them backflips online. Hashtag competitions, giveaways and contests, and augmented reality things to get people moving and talking about your brand. And when you have a brand that people are in love with, like right now, Wanya, you're in a real good place, girl. When you have a brand that people are in love with and people are talking about and it's meaningful to people, now is the time to get people to create content for your brand or about your brand. So that's what user generated content is about. I'm gonna move on. Another cool tool, and this is something it's really funny here, is something I use in all of my industries. It's called Social Bakers. Social Bakers ranks per industry the top performing social media sites on Facebook. Which is a heavy indication to, yes, I can talk about QR codes, but I don't like them. I'll come back to QR codes, which is a huge indication, Social Bakers, of how people are receiving your brands. So right now, what you're looking at on screen is the top 10 media houses. Is it media houses? No, it's the top 10 Facebook pages, period, in Trinidad. Of course, the #1 Facebook page in Trinidad is Slam. Then boom, with 663,000 followers. Now let me tell you, you could call up Boom Champions and you can ask Boom Champions to post something to their 663,000 people, and it might cost you under $1,500 to be exposed to those people, as opposed to asking to do a press ad or a radio ad. And to do a radio ad, you really need to do a campaign, and you have to run those campaigns for a set of time for people to resonate. You can get really great bang for buck if you actually just pay these media houses to post on their platforms for you. So I want you to check out Social Bakers ranking. But the thing about it is, with Social Bakers, you have to, I don't know why I'm not seeing any content for fashion designers at all. So I would be interested in knowing and collecting the information about the size of the Instagram and Facebook pages of the different fashion designers in Trinidad. That would be really interesting to know. Boom is interesting. That age group is real funny, because when you're looking at a media entity that literally has the following of 50% of an entire country, an entire population, the age group becomes less important. It becomes less relevant, because you're looking at half the country. So you really may, the more pertinent question, I think, is what is the interest of the people who listen to Boom Champions? And we know by and large that Boom Champions supports a downtown community. But does that mean that 663,000 people out of the 1.3 million people we have in Trinidad are all downtown? No, it doesn't. It means that if we're looking at just numbers alone, if I post the 663,000, a competition that asks people to repost something, then it means that the visibility that I will get from that is huge as a top of the funnel thing for that awareness. Now you begin to refine when you start to talk about your own brand content, and you're reaching out to your tribe from these people. but the size of this audience has a lot of value when it comes to reaching people who are all in the same demographic location, the same geographic location. Let me talk about QR codes. You can create a QR code for free online. Just Google create QR code for free online. And it can generate a QR code for you. And the QR code, if scanned using the right software on a cell phone, will be able to link the user to any landing page that you want them to link to, including a Facebook page or an Instagram page. The reason why QR codes are not as popular as they used to be is because BlackBerry phones were built to read QR codes with their cameras. iPhones and Android phones are not. So in order to read a QR code from an iPhone or an Android phone, you have to download a QR code scanner. Raise your hands if you have a QR code scanner on your computer, on your phone. It comes with one? Okay. Well, I know Android doesn't have one. And the reason I have stopped using QR codes, and I'm not saying don't use it, but the reason I've stopped using it is because we're now requiring the user to engage with a third-party piece of software before being able to engage with your content, which creates a barrier to communication. So while it's a pretty nifty tool, because it takes a user from an offline space into an online space, I find it a bit cumbersome. But it's really very, very simple to create. Very, very simple. You know what I use QR codes for? To help join WhatsApp groups. So if I want a WhatsApp group, if I'm creating a WhatsApp group, I will probably create a QR code so that people can easily scan it and join the WhatsApp group. That's what I would use it for. But I can only speak from my perspective, and I haven't used QR codes in marketing in 5 years. Okay, let me see how far this can go. Okay, we're gonna go into brand communications a little bit. I'm gonna play a short video. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this video, but I'm playing this video for those of you who have not seen it because it's fundamental brand communications knowledge that I think is really important to the conversation. The video is only about 5 minutes long. So I'm gonna play this video from Simon Sinek on the Golden Circle and how we communicate from the we love this video. I played it. I actually did a Fashion TT presentation maybe about 5 years ago called Brand Building Your Brand. There was a quick brand video and I played it for you all then. But the group has grown so much that I feel like it's always important to make sure that we talk about this video because it's really the core of great brand communications online. And we'll talk about brand communications a little bit, and then we will end the session.
I call it the Golden Circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean, what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done. That's how most sales is done. And that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do. We say how we're different or how we're better. And we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat screen TVs. They've been making flat screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. And Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products, and nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. When we communicate from the outside in, yes, people can understand vast amounts of complicated information like features and benefits and facts and figures. It just doesn't drive behavior. When we communicate from the inside out, we're talking directly to the part of the brain that controls behavior, and then we allow people to rationalize it with the tangible things we say and do. This is where gut decisions come from. Sometimes you can give somebody all the facts and your figures, and they say, I know what all the facts and details say, but it just doesn't feel right. Why would we use that verb? It doesn't feel right, because the part of the brain that controls decision-making doesn't control language. And the best we can muster up is, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. Or sometimes you say you're leading with your heart, or you're leading with your soul. Well, I hate to break it to you, those aren't the other body parts controlling your behavior. It's all happening here in your limbic brain, the part of the brain that controls decision-making and not language. But if you don't know why you do what you do, and people respond to why you do what you do, then how will you ever get people to vote for you or buy something from you, or more importantly, be loyal?
So I promise you guys, this is my last 1 year reference. I remember asking 1 year some time ago, why does 1 year exist? And that is the time that she told me about the Tobago statistic. I don't know why, if you remember that conversation we had. And
Yes, I could never forget it.
And to see how that has manifested into a brand strategy and into a content strategy online, it's it really is a testimony to how powerful this approach to branding is. So I really want you guys to think, you know, as homework, if you haven't done this already, ask yourself the question, why do I exist? Why am I doing what I'm doing on this planet? And
Chris, sorry to interrupt. You could put the link to that video in the chat, please,
you will
if you
get
don't mind.
actually, I'll send it to you. And
Okay,
actually,
thanks.
that is this video is a shortened version of a longer TED talk. I'm gonna put the longer version in the chat for you guys. The longer version is 18 minutes, and he speaks a lot more about the science of it. Right. So once you get that core message right, it's really important, especially in an online space, that you show consistency in your messaging. And from that why, we then are able to inform an approach to tone. Yeah, an approach to tone. How does the brand speak to the audience? Is it formal? Is it casual? Is it slang? Is it humorous? Is it empathetic? Is it mothering? What's the voice of the brand? If the brand was a person, who would it sound like? It's a real good question to ask yourself as you embark upon creating content. Would it be sarcastic? Would it be witty? Would it be funny? Would it be mean? You're familiar with the Wendy's and McDonald's Twitter wars. Wendy's is savage. As a strategic brand voice, they're savage. I can tell you that Domino's is witty and clever. Carib is funny and cheeky and timely. What is your brand voice? How based on who you are do you speak to an audience? It can't change from month to month. It has to be consistent throughout your brand communications. Authentic conversations is vital. Authenticity. Is the brand faithful to itself? How do you know? Did you structure it? Is it true to its customers? Motivated by caring and responsibility while supporting customers in being true to themselves. And that's the balance we started this morning talking about, that balance between adding value to the customer and being true to ourselves as a brand. It's really something that we have to plan and structure. Conversation, social media needs to be just that, social. If you're not at the center of an ongoing relevant conversation with your customers, you have no brand. Remember at the beginning of this conversation, I asked you guys, what conversation are you having? That's your brand. What does that mean to your consumer? What does what you have to say mean to the consumer? What difference are you making in a consumer's life? We spend so much time identifying the needs and the opportunities and the trends and the this and the that about consumers. What are you doing with that information? That is where your content creation for your social media really needs to focus. Yes, it's important to have product content because we want to move consumers through a funnel, but we also need to have content that demonstrates our brand. Some time ago in London, KFC ran out of chicken. And they posted this, along with an apology for running out of chicken. And they were able to do that because their brand strategy was light, funny, timely, and cool, and honest. So I mean, you'll get this. So we're gonna stop here. We're gonna stop here now, and I'm going to ask you guys to utilize tomorrow to pull out the aspects of the things that you want to incorporate into your business, because we discussed a lot of things today. I told you guys the most important thing is the content calendar. You have your brand personas, you have your why. There are a few things that I want you to just think about and spend some time tomorrow creating parts of your strategy. If you feel inspired to create your persona, create some personas. If you feel inspired to create your structure for your content calendar, create it. If you feel inspired to write a blog, write it. So that we'll start off, since we have homework, we'll start off on Monday. I think Monday is our session. We start off on Monday with you guys telling me what areas you want some help with. You know, so if you get your hands dirty tomorrow, you don't have to do it, but if you do, you get your hands dirty tomorrow and you really want to make that difference and you really want the help in strengthening your online social media presence, get your hands dirty and come to me on Monday morning and let's go through specific ways that we can improve what you've done on Sunday and specific ways that we could tie up any loose ends that you have. But you have to want to get your hands dirty. We will also talk Monday on value proposition development. That's the next slide. And the slide after that is Facebook and Instagram shop. So simple, it's a short video on shop. So I will send the slides to Fashion TT as soon as we get off this call. And I don't know, it would be up to them if they can send it out to you all this afternoon. That's fine with me. If they want to send it on Monday, that's also fine based on their protocols. And we will push through. We've never had a presenter actually wanting to deal with her. Yeah, man, I'm happy to help Wani, and you know that I've been wanting to really make a difference and add value. I teach this stuff at Lockjaw, but very rarely do I get to sit in a room with a whole industry and say, guys, let's move this industry forward and push this whole thing forward. So I take this very seriously, and I want to make sure that I can help you guys. So I noticed quite a few of you followed me on Instagram. I followed back everybody. You all could follow me on LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn is a better place to get my content because I post content on LinkedIn that's really specific to marketing. Most of my content on Instagram is my art and my family. But my content, and I do some promotions on Instagram as well. My content on LinkedIn is really that space, and it's a great space as well to reach out to me if you have any specific needs or any specific questions. I'm definitely here to help, and that goes beyond this meeting and this time. I always say in workshops like these that, you know, you guys reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's a great place to have that conversation and let me know the specific issues you're having, and I'll be happy to have conversations with you about how to tie up certain loose ends. And talking about tying things up, I think we're just at the end of the clock. So you guys set your own homework. We're all entrepreneurs in the room. Set your own homework and come to me on Monday morning with the challenges you had in the things that you try to implement over the weekend, and we'll start from there. Have a great, my brain is tired too, Bianca. Have a great evening, and hopefully you can salvage what you have remaining of your Saturday.